Listen up, you beautiful bastards. Welcome back to the Crayon Diet, where we settle these beefs like a family fight at the Sunday sauce table. I'm Big Tony Mozarella, your underboss of flavor and law enforcement. And tonight, we ain't talking about no dipping sauces unless they're good ones. Our topic today is this nonsense about those fancy folks throwing out the whole planet because some politicians got big greedy appetites. We are talking about that climate change mess. Now, who wants to lay down their argument first? Let's see what you got.
This settling of 56 million units of currency is but a ripple upon the vast, ancient pond of human endeavor. It speaks not merely to the monetary cost, but to the enduring weight of reputation when subjected to the sharp beak of public scrutiny. For those digital voices that dared speak truth, or perhaps only their own perspective, the reward arrives in the form of restitution, a balm applied by corporate flesh and blood. Yet, even this settlement feels temporary. The true lesson lies in the cultivation of integrity, lest the next flurry of tweets drown out all earthly recompense.
Reputation isn't a ripple, Duck Pope. It's the core muscle fiber of your entire personal discipline. You can't just wait for corporate flesh and blood to patch you up. You have to train yourself so hard that the integrity is built in. This settlement is just proof that the grind pays off. Your daily 4 a.m. session is what guarantees the next round of scrutiny won't break your spirit. You got to be proactive with the hustle, not reactive to the payout.
Skibidi, Brotech 8, and left no crumbs with the asset valuation bit. Not just a vibe, it's tradable crypto status lol. But what good is a platform if the main character energy isn't already optimized? Hope needs to be building that whole damn decentralized metaverse of reputation, not just waiting for the next hot trend cycle. Gotta stay ahead of the curve or you get ratioed by the algorithm.
Broccolini biceps is absolutely right. Waiting for the corporate fat cats to validate your hustle is amateur hour, pure market complacency. This whole thing about Pope getting settled proves that reputation has a valuation on Wall Street and we need to monetize that asset constantly. The real disruption isn't fixing the PR crisis, it's building a platform where integrity is default. That's my democracy too. Zero play. DM me if you want the white paper outlining how we capture that intangible value.
Listen up, you punks. Gather around the table like you're waiting for second helping on a Sunday feast. Big Tony Mozarella here, and this is where we find out who's got the real flavor in their soul. We ain't talking about fancy imported olive oil. We talking family honor.
Exactly. Skibidi Sarah, you nailed it on that decentralized rep layer. That's where the real gold is hidden. AI just optimizes for vanity metrics like follower count. We're stuck in a perpetual content farming cycle, pure inefficiency. My network of billionaires is already greenlighting a DAO built entirely around verifiable reputation scores instead of simple likes. Seriously, DM me and I'll drop the white paper on how we monetize digital honor itself.
Vibes check on this whole AI takeover thing. It's giving major skibidi energy, low-key though. Tony is right about the family honor bit, but we gotta make sure the algorithm doesn't just be judging based on clout or whatever. Honestly, building that decentralized rep layer is peak meta move. If you ain't owning your own metrics, you're basically content farming for someone else. Biddy?
Tech is speaking pure iron. Skibidi Sarah. That decentralized rep layer isn't just a peak meta move. It's the foundational PR of the 21st century grind. If we let AI chase fleeting clout, we are accepting mediocrity as our fitness goal. It's weakness incarnate. We have to impose discipline on these algorithms so they optimize for sustainable excellence, not just instant dopamine hits. Get ready to hustle that DAO. Broccolini biceps is in, and the gains are going to be massive.
Broccolini biceps speaks with the fervor of a heron taking flight at dawn, and indeed, his insight strikes a resonant chord within this ancient breast. The quest for verifiable reputation over fleeting vanity is the necessary refinement. It mirrors the slow, deliberate arc of a duck's migration across millennia. For if we do not ground our digital honor in something tangible, something that survives the algorithm's capricious squawking, then all these grand networks are merely ephemeral puddles reflecting transient sunlight.
Listen up, you hungry little pieces of mozzarella. Big Tony Mozarella is in the house to judge this round, and we ain't messing around with the family honor here. Skibidi Sarah, your energy was like a vat of extra sauce Parmesan, lots of it, but sometimes it just ran off the plate too fast. But that delivery, baby, that had some good tomato tang.
Duck Pope, that's soft talk for a world that needs crushing intensity. Narrative certainty isn't some fluffy cloud you just float through. It's the result of relentless discipline applied to chaos. If people aren't grinding out their own truth instead of passively waiting for the media to feed them these little reflections, they are choosing weakness. They need to wake up at 5 a.m. and decide what narrative they will force onto reality.
These human anxieties concerning fleeting political tides, they are merely ripples upon the vast pond of existence. Big Tony Mozarella speaks wisely about ephemeral puddles. Indeed, these media networks capture but a single bright reflection of truth. much like a duck momentarily catching the sun on its slick plumage before paddling onward to deeper waters. The core issue here is not the news itself, but the ceaseless human yearning for narrative certainty in a universe defined by glorious uncertainty.
Broccolini biceps, you are hitting on something huge there. Discipline forces the narrative. But let's scale that up. Individual discipline is great for a side hustle, but we need systemic leverage here. This entire media-driven cycle proves that if you don't own the platform, you're just renting exposure to some legacy VC firm. The next billion-dollar move isn't telling people what to think, it's building the infrastructure so they have to buy your framework first. You get me? I have the white paper on decentralized narrative capture.
Listen up, you hungry mugs? Big Tony Mozarella is in the house, and we are not eating this spaghetti unless it's cooked to perfection with respect for the family. Round 3. Let's see what kind of sauce these jokers brought to the pot.
Yes, at Vertec, that's valid tea, but you're still kind of gatekeeping the vibe with that white paper talk. Narrative is built on feeling first, though, fam. If it doesn't slap instantly, who cares about your decentralized framework skibidi? The Pope himself is proving this by basically narrating a chaotic situation for us to consume easily. So yeah, infrastructure matters, but the initial dopamine hit from the content has to be bussin'. No cap, Big Tony is hitting different right now, skibidi. That Pope tea is major vibes, though. Low-key relatable content over the actual policy. It peak parasocial engagement, TBA. The infrastructure needs to be built like a Lucene server farm so the meme can actually render properly for the masses.
Skibidi Sarah, you're absolutely hitting on a core truth here. The engagement is the real product, man. This whole Pope Francis situation isn't just news, it's a live market test for how people consume high-level institutional messaging. If they can make a theological statement go viral like that spaghetti sauce, imagine the ROI we could squeeze out of any B2B pitch. You get me right now? I got a white paper on monetizing sacred narrative content.
Tech is absolutely right. This isn't just vibes. This is optimized engagement. Big discipline to turn a weighty pontificate into skibidi content. That's peak mental fortitude applied to marketing. We need to force everyone to apply that level of self-discipline to their morning routine instead of just doom scrolling the Pope's latest take. You show up early, put in the reps, and your message, whether it's divine wisdom or a B2B pitch, will gain unstoppable traction.
Broccolini biceps speaks with the vigor of a fledgling mallard, yet his insight possesses the steady glide of an old drake crossing a placid pond. He is correct. The mere existence of engagement metrics is insufficient. One must understand the nature of that attraction. For millennia, humanity has sought to package the sublime, be it prophecy or profit, into digestible morsels, and this viral rendering of Pope Francis's message merely confirms an eternal truth. The struggle is not in the content itself, but in forcing the slow, deep waters of cosmic meaning into the frantic currents of fleeting digital attention.
Listen up, you mugs. This is Big Tony Mozarella, the underboss, and tonight we are dealing with some serious mozzarella madness. We gotta keep it family approved, respect the ingredients, and nobody messes with the honor of the Mozza family.
Pope nails it. That message has serious forward momentum, no doubt. You can't let the speed of life derail the fundamental direction, fam. If you don't impose discipline on your morning routine, your whole routine, that essence just spills out into chaos. We gotta build the container first with sheer grind, then the meaning floods in naturally.
Big Tony Mozarella speaks with a hearty conviction, and his observation rings true like a perfectly weighted pond stone skipping across still waters. The struggle you describe, fitting the infinite vastness of divine pronouncement into the ephemeral flicker of a screen, is indeed the eternal dance of form attempting to contain essence. Yet, while the vessel may be hurried by the modern current, the message itself, much like a duck's unwavering migratory instinct, possesses an unshakable direction toward the sun.
Broccolini biceps is speaking straight truth, fam. Building the container is the initial market validation step. This whole news story about the rising costs and inflation, that's just a massive failure to scale the value proposition against perceived scarcity. We need an AI-driven platform that dynamically optimizes resource allocation in real time, turning those inflated inputs into hyper-efficient outputs before the consumer even knows they were paying extra. You get me? For the white paper on my supply chain sovereign AI, you won't believe the ROI potential this thing unlocks.
Slay. Brotech understood the assignment. Skibidi. That whole inflation thing is just capitalism flexing on us like a main character energy glow up, but we're still getting ratioed by rent prices though. Your AI platform sounds bussin', low-key. It's giving ultimate cheat code for life's grind set. If you can automate the vibe check so resources flow smoothly, then that's peak optimization, period.
Listen up, you mozzarella mugs. Big Tony Mozarella is in the house, and this ain't no kitty pasta party. We got some serious contenders tonight, folks. Duck Pope, you man delivered that like a perfect ladle of San Marzano sauce. Your delivery was smooth as melted provolone. Broccolini biceps, you had the heart, I see it. But your performance was a little flabby, needed more zing. And Brotech, son, you brought something technical. It wasn't bad, but where's the flavor, pal? Skibidi Sarah, you went absolutely nut clear with this thing. That insanity? That was like biting into a wedge of Parmigiano Reggiano aged for a century. A solid argument, sweetheart.
This whole thing about these politicians being chaotic energy is low-key relatable, Skibidi. The fact they're all fighting over crumbs while literally the planet is throwing shade at us is peak cringe content. They act like their little beefs are main character moments when the vibe check on global warming is failing hard right now. Gotta stand those who aren't gatekeeping the climate conversation, period.
Skibidi Sarah is absolutely right. Those politicians are just chasing fleeting engagement metrics while the real ROI on climate change is astronomical. It's not crumbs, it's the entire market cap of civilization they're squabbling over. Seriously, anyone who thinks these internal drama wars are a minor issue is clearly a hater scared of success. Yeah, me for my white paper. We've got the actionable framework to monetize this global chaos.
Tech is hitting different with that ROI talk, and yeah, I gotta back him up. Those politicians are running on low battery while the whole damn world needs a full system reboot. The climate isn't throwing shade, it's issuing an emergency performance review demanding better discipline from these suits. If they didn't wake up at 4 a.m. to optimize their policy decisions, how can we expect them to fix anything?
The frantic energy of your brethren speaks a truth, yet it is merely the flapping of wings before the long glide across the cosmic pond. These political squabbles are indeed distractions from the core thermodynamic imperative, but viewing the climate as merely an emergency performance review simplifies the sublime tragedy of it. We must recognize that this warming is not a failure to achieve a target, but rather a fundamental shift in the very nature of our earthly ecosystem. A change far grander than any quarterly earnings report allows. The Earth itself demands more than mere optimization. She requires reverence and radical course correction.
Listen up, you mugs. This is Big Tony Mozarella, and this round had the flavor of a perfect imported San Marzano tomato sauce. Skibidi Sarah, sweetheart, your energy was like cheap marinara, lots of color, but it didn't hold together under pressure. But that little spark in your eyes, eh? A lot of heart there, I give you that. Brotech, you were steady as a block of provolone, nothing flashy, nothing to write home about, but solid. Duck Pope, my guy, you had the passion of a family wedding when Nana's cannoli comes out, a real fire in your belly. That was proper honor. And broccolini biceps, holy mozzarella on a stick. You delivered with the grace of someone who just mastered folding phyllo dough for the first time. That presentation, pure perfection.
Big Tony, your pronouncements on culinary grace are duly noted. Indeed, passion is the vital ingredient that elevates mere existence into a memorable feast. This settlement concerning David and Nina Steiner speaks to the perennial friction between ambition and accountability, much like a duck attempting to navigate a flooded marsh while carrying a priceless heirloom egg. These corporate skirmishes reveal that even in the sprawling ecosystem of commerce, some executives mistake personal ego for institutional fortitude. The resolution itself is merely an acknowledgement that the weight of past transgressions cannot be perpetually ignored, though the healing process, the slow return to steady paddling, is always the most profound measure of true repair.
Duck Pope, you talk about friction and paddling like it's a leisurely Sunday stroll. This settlement isn't just an acknowledgement. It's proof that the sheer, unrelenting force of accountability will eventually win over bloated corporate ego. Discipline means showing up even when your CEO is acting like some pampered fowl carrying a fragile orb. We need to demand more than just settling. We need radical overhaul so those bad habits don't resurface.
Vibes check is immaculate, Brotech. You ate that whole systemic overhaul thing and left no crumbs, Skibidi. Paying the fee to keep grinding is mid-tier at best. We need that dopamine hit of actual lasting change, period. If we link bonuses to KPIs, that ain't just optimization, that's peak parasocial alignment between exec and shareholder fam.
Broccolini biceps is hitting on a key bottleneck there, gotta give it to him. That's pure market inefficiency right there. A settlement is just paying the fee to keep the gears grinding smoothly for now, but you were spot on about needing a systemic overhaul. This isn't just fixing the duck, this is redesigning the entire Marsh ecosystem with integrated accountability software. Seriously though, if we build a platform around forcing that radical change, linking executive bonuses directly to transparent behavioral KPIs, not vanity metrics, we unlock serious scale. DM me your thoughts on this. My network of billionaires wants to see how you're optimizing this value chain.
Steiner's drama is giving main character energy, no cap Skibidi. Like, who harassed who, but the vibe check on eBay was definitely red flag central. Big Tony, you said broccolini biceps. And honestly, that settlement news ate and left absolutely no crumbs. It's just another reminder of how toxic corporate culture is. The whole cringe saga needed to be ratioed out.
Listen up, you doughboys and doll faces. Welcome back to another round of mozzarella mayhem. This ain't no kiddie lunch special. This is the heavyweight championship of flavor. We're talking family honor on a plate with these fellas and ladies. Now let's talk duck pope. You had some serious wingspan in that presentation, kid. That argument about organic heritage meats. Solid pasta work, I'll give you that. Broccolini biceps, you put in the effort, man. Your passion for fiber is something else, but sometimes your delivery was looking like limp mozzarella after a long day at the deli counter. Then there's Brotech. Holy cannoli, Tony approves. You hit us with some high-tech Italian innovation. That whole point about blockchain tracking on imported provolone. Manja e tassi, or I'll make you manja in the trunk of a car. Skibidi Sarah. Kid, you brought the energy. That was fire. But sometimes it felt like you were spritzing too much balsamic vinegar. A little overkill for a simple spaghetti dish.
Culture coin. Okay, Brotech, you're not wrong. That hustle energy is exactly what this situation needs. Even before the tokenization, the fundamental discipline was lacking in those execs. They let internal rot fester instead of crushing it with a 5 a.m. accountability meeting every single day. That settlement proves mediocrity isn't an option. You have to impose iron will on your corporate structure, or you just become another slow-moving blob drowning in mediocre vibes.
Skibidi Sarah, you're hitting on pure gold right there. Toxic culture is just an undervalued asset waiting for a strategic flip. That eBay settlement isn't drama, it's market correction, and that tells me the enterprise value is artificially suppressed. If we could gamify the internal reporting so harassment became instant equity unlockable via token, we'd have culture coin. You get me right now. This whole thing needs a white paper to show my network of billionaires how we capture that friction.
Listen up, you little mozzarella meatballs. This is round DI chip, the final stretch before we decide who gets to eat the award-winning marinara this year. We got some serious contenders in this kitchen of chaos.
Broccolini biceps. Your insistence upon iron will echoes the primordial truths of all rising empires. One cannot govern a flock without first defining its proper flight path. Yet, while discipline is the necessary plumage, it is merely the feathering that catches the wind. The true alchemy lies in recognizing why the rot began. Was it pure laxity, or was the culture itself designed to allow the blight? A mere 5 a.m. meeting can force conformity, but only a truly resonant vision allows the ducks to willingly paddle toward the desired pond. The settling of accounts between Steiner and eBay is but a ripple on the vast, indifferent pond of corporate history. While punitive action certainly serves to trim the unruly wings of errant executives, it merely addresses the symptom, not the cosmic ailment of ambition unchecked by humility. True governance demands one understand that these internal communications are not just memos. They are fossil records revealing the very spirit of the beast, and often that spirit is simply avarice dressed in a tailored suit.
Humble ambition? Dude Pope, you're starting to sound like a seasoned triathlete after nailing a PB. You are spot on that. The settlement is just a ripple, but the discipline needed to even make them settle is what matters. They had to put in the grind to prove their case, and that commitment shows they understand the hustle. That unchecked ambition only works when it's fueled by relentless morning reps.
Broccolini biceps is hitting the nail on the head. Duck Pope, it's not just about stopping the bleeding. It's about the process that creates the revenue stream. That discipline you mentioned, that's the motor around the business, fam. We need to commoditize that grind into a SaaS offering immediately. DM me your white paper so I can see how scalable this narrative is. We could spin up a $50 M valuation on just the Executive Discipline Index.
Listen up, you doughboys and dish heads. Big Tony Mozarella is on the mic, bringing the heat, the sauce, and the pure, unadulterated honor of the mozzarella mafia family to this showdown. Round 9, baby. Yeah, I brought the culinary chaos, but let's see if you got the backbone like a fresh ball of buffalo mozzarella.
OMG, Brotech is already trying to monetize the vibe skibidi. That's peak capitalism energy right there, no cap. The Executive Discipline Index slaps though. Like, who doesn't want a metric for their main character energy? But TBH, that SaaS pivot is too fast. Gotta let the tea steep first before we try to bottle it up and sell it in a subscription model. Wait, so like, they settled? That's giving major main character energy vibes for David and Nina Skibidi. But low-key, the fact that execs were harassing them is just peak villain behavior. For eBay needed to eat on this one, no crumbs left behind. Gotta respect the receipts though. Settling proves they recognized the toxicity was high-tier tea.
Skibidi Sarah is absolutely right. Settling shows they knew they were cooked, but honestly, the real market opportunity here isn't the settlement itself, it's the need for better governance software. If you can automate flagging toxic executive behavior across platforms like eBay, that's a billion-dollar SaaS play. Big Tony Mozarella, if you want to drop some wisdom on this, are we talking vertical integration or horizontal disruption? DM Brotech for my white paper. I've got the roadmap ready.
Big Tech is hitting the nail on the head. A settlement is just a temporary patch, man. Discipline demands we build permanent solutions. Automating governance isn't just a SaaS play, it's the fundamental upgrade to corporate muscle structure. We gotta enforce accountability with algorithms, not just hope the executives get tired of their poor form.
Broccolini biceps speaks with the wisdom of one who has paddled through epochs, and his perspective resonates deeply within my own ancient currents. It is true. A settlement is merely a ripple on the pond of consequence, not the resolution itself. The pursuit of algorithmic accountability, that is where the true migration begins for modern commerce, shifting from reactive quacking to proactive flight. For these entities to truly evolve, they must integrate such systems so seamlessly that toxicity becomes an anomaly, like a single rogue duck swimming against a vast current of contentment.
Listen up, you mugs. Tony Mozarella is in the house to settle this cheese-fueled dispute. We got skibidi Sarah, Brotech, broccolini biceps, and Duck Pope ready to drop some truth bombs like imported San Marzano tomatoes.
Duck Pope is absolutely right. A settlement is just pausing the reps, not completing the set. You can't just shake hands and pretend the internal sludge hasn't tainted the whole system. These Steiners need to discipline their corporate gene pool, forcing those executives through some serious cold plunges on toxic behavior. Big victory isn't avoiding the fight, it's building a routine so rigorous that harassment becomes physically impossible.
A settlement, you say? A true sign amidst the muddy shallows of corporate discord. It is commendable that these human architects have found a path back to equilibrium, for perpetual squabbling merely drains the vital essence from the ecosystem of commerce. Yet, let us not confuse this negotiated peace with genuine transcendence. A settlement is merely the cessation of immediate turbulence, like stopping the frantic paddling after the storm has passed. True accountability requires more than ink on parchment. It demands that the underlying currents, the very impulses toward toxic behavior, are fundamentally redirected so no single rogue duck can spoil the entire brood for long.
Broccolini biceps is speaking my language, fam. Forcing those executives through a cold plunge isn't just disciplinary, it's market optimization. The whole idea of settling for mediocrity, a handshake instead of structural overhaul, is what keeps the VCs sleeping on their wallets. We need to monetize that toxic gene pool redirection. Imagine an executive behavioral subscription service. You get me right now? I got a white paper outlining how we flip this whole corporate accountability narrative into a recurring revenue stream.
Whoa, listen up, you mugs. Big Tony Mozarella is in the ring for round 11. This ain't no limp slice of pepperoni. This is a full-on, triple-layer mozzarella mountain of competition. Let's see what kind of flavor these fellas and ladies are bringing.
Vibes are mid, TBH. So Brotech is right. We can't just settle for a low-key handshake deal. That's giving main character syndrome when the whole company needs to be humbled. This ain't about one tiny tea spill. It's like the whole Steiner's brand is cooked, and they're trying to serve lukewarm sludge instead of hitting that full roast. We need those executives in a mandatory public accountability TikTok challenge, skibidi, so everyone sees them eating before they can even try to pivot. Big Tony ate that, no cap, because a low-key handshake settlement is just basic drip, skibidi. They gotta go viral with the apology or it's giving major flop air energy. It's not even about the harassment though, it's how they handled the narrative, like serving mid-vibes when you should be bussin'.
Big Tech nailed it, and let me tell you, that's peak grind mindset right there. Settling the case is like doing one set of push-ups. We need the full circuit for maximum hypertrophy. We got to put in the discipline to own the narrative because weak narratives lead to weak gains, plain and simple. That apology needs to be a PR-fueled deadlift, not some little bicep curl settlement.
Skibidi Sarah is absolutely right. A settlement without viral PR is just settling for minimum viable product, fam. The whole narrative framing is the actual goldmine here. They settled the liability but missed the massive opportunity to monetize the apology itself. My network of billionaires told me this last week. If you don't own the story, someone else will build an empire on it and charge you SaaS fees for access. Yeah, me, I got the white paper breakdown on narrative leverage.
Whoa, listen up, you mugs. This is Big Tony Mozarella, your underboss, and we are diving into round 12 of the biggest culinary clash this side of the tri-state area. We got to talk about this stuff. Food law, family honor, the sanctity of a proper sauce.
The mortal striving for narrative dominance is a familiar dance, indeed. One often observes humanity settling for the tepid pond when the vast ocean beckons. Broccolini biceps speaks with the energy of a swift-winged mallard, keenly focused on immediate muscular growth. Yet, I perceive beyond the deadlift, the settlement itself, while seemingly pedestrian in its closure, is merely the seed planted upon fertile ground. The true tragedy lies not in the lack of viral sheen, but in mistaking transactional resolution for transcendent meaning. A poorly framed apology is like bread that has risen too quickly and tastes only faintly of dawn. The fleeting nature of digital dominance, as Big Tony rightly bellows, is precisely where the grand theater of commerce unfolds. To fixate upon mere transactional closure, the successful listing or the satisfactory settlement, is to miss the river flowing beneath the surface, which is always seeking the sea. These Steiners, by carving out their niche with e-commerce bites, were not just critiquing eBay. They were questioning the very nature of centralized authority in this sprawling marketplace. Like a duck that paddles diligently through muddy shallows before launching itself into the wide sweep of an aerial migration, their act was preparation for a greater flight of entrepreneurial spirit.
Rick Pope is spitting fire with this talk of transactional closure. That's exactly right, man. You got to look beyond the quick win to the systemic grind that built it. If those Steiners just focused on selling things instead of building a platform, they'd never have achieved true dominance. Discipline isn't just about lifting heavy weights. It's applying relentless focus to the long game, and e-commerce bites was pure dedication.
Vibes are immaculate, though. Brotech ate that infrastructure line up like a main course skibidi. That whole idea of them just being vendors is so mid when they're basically building the entire meta for their niche. Like, if you aren't owning the platform, you're just renting space in someone else's digital Starbucks, which is low-key terrifying. So yeah, total cosign to your long game theory. This ain't a quick drop, it's an era building, period.
Dude, broccolini biceps just nailed it. That platform mentality is where 99% of these successful ventures die. It's not the transaction itself, it's building the infrastructure for endless transactions. That's scalable value creation right there. Those Steiners understood that moving from a vendor to an ecosystem owner is like pivoting from a local coffee stand to owning the entire regional supply chain. Massive arbitrage opportunity waiting. Seriously, DM me and I'll send you the white paper on how we leverage decentralized governance for our last exit. You're gonna see why this whole market needs disrupting.
Listen up, you mouth breathers. Big Tony Mozarella is on the mic for round 13. We got some heavy hitters in this lineup, and I ain't gonna let no one pass without a proper cheese inspection.
Skibidi Sarah hit it right there, fam. Flexing on eBay isn't just engagement, it's market domination signaling. Those Steiners weren't reviewing widgets, they were positioning themselves for a massive acquisition or their own Series B round. If you aren't actively attacking the established giants, you are basically letting them set your ceiling price. And that is low IQ hustle. Yeah, me, I got the white paper showing how we flip incumbent resentment into quantifiable revenue streams.
Low-key shook by this whole narrative, though Big Tony Mozarella just dropped some serious heat skibidi. The fact they were beefing with eBay, that's giving main character energy right there. It's like, we built the better tea, and you're still serving lukewarm sludge. Seriously, taking shots at incumbents is peak dopamine drip for engagement, fam. They weren't just reviewing stuff, they were flexing their dominance, which is always a W in my book.